Hey there, Georgie here with Ukraine Matters. Every single source that I follow is following what is happening right now at the White House. So today's video is going to be very short and sweet. I'm going to touch on some of the important news. We're going to talk about the new missile that Ukrainians have developed, and now it's been confirmed. It's an amazing new development. It's going to bring a lot of good change to the battlefield. We're going to talk about what's happening at the White House, and we're going to talk about what's the European stance and what should we be aware of going into this weird period of reconvincing Donald Trump that supporting Ukraine is the right way to go. All this and more in today's Daily News Show. Let's begin. Russian Z propagandists and pro-war mongers, they are now totally ecstatic because Putin went and he struck a deal with Trump, and now they're going to bring that Ukraine to kneel before them, and they're going to dominate and going to win this war. And now they have been proudly also displaying this on the front line to troll and get under everyone's skin while driving the captured M113 from Ukrainians and flying the Russian colored flag and also the United States flag. I can talk long and hard about how disgusting it is and how it makes me sick, which it does, but you know, if you have been following this channel, that I do not consider United States to be a proponent of democracy, an ally of Europe or Ukraine. I consider them to be transactional, and they are caring for the United States, not the people of United States, the current administration of United States. We've seen the polls. I've seen what's happening in Alaska. People of United States still understand what is right, but the current administration has their own views on the things. But Ukrainians are responding in kind, and they're continuing their campaign. Ukrainian intelligence services have reported that they struck a railway hub in the Voronezh region. It has been ongoing for a couple of weeks now, and it's not stopping, so we're just making our check mark that Ukrainians are doing their job. It has been really important that this has been happening systematically, and this is a big change from what was happening before. Also, there is an additional video appeared that Ukrainians struck up quite a rare one, the Barnol T system. Its approximate price is $3 to $6 million, and it's definitely a rare find, and it's nice to see that nothing escapes Ukrainian drone pilots, and even such a rare things are being struck on the front lines. But obviously the biggest news today, hands down, is the unveiling of the Ukrainian new type of missile. This is fantastic. Ukrainians have shown with video proofs, you will see them right now, of testing of this missile. There is also statements from the officials. I was very careful. I was not sure if this missile is real, but the claimed range of this missile is 3,000 kilometers, and the design of this missile is good enough for fast and scaled mass production. This is a fantastic development, because as good as drones are to go in depth into Russia and strike those targets inside Russia, there is still a lot of issues with these drones, with reliability, the fact they can be suppressed, the fact that they can be intercepted, and they are slow moving, so Russians usually know where they're coming and when they're coming, and it does give Russia a lot of time to prepare. Missiles are a completely different beast. They are not a replacement for drones, and drones are not replacements for missiles, but it's an extensive improvement in Ukrainian long-range capabilities. Just recently, yesterday, we talked about Ukrainian deep strikes and how efficient that campaign has been. If the 3,000 kilometers scaled-up production missile is on the menu there, Russians will see their casualties in strategic component skyrocket. So it's fantastic to hear that Ukrainians having development in this area, and this will definitely bring the pain to Russians, and we will be following that for sure. Ukrainians are front-running the sanctions on the Russian, Chinese, and Belarusian companies. Obviously, this is just a precursor. The main part that we're looking for is for European Union to include the same companies in the coming 19th sanctions package, which will be coming in September of this year. The 18th sanction package has been announced a bit earlier this year, and it was pretty devastating for Russians. So the hopes are that 19th sanctions package will put even more pressure on the Russian shadow fleet and also on the companies that are trying to evade the sanctions, because the costs need to be increased for Russia. So good job, Ukraine, by outlining who are our targets. targets. President Zelensky outlined that right now there are multiple regions where Russia has the ability to push. General Syrskyi has responded to this and stated that there are troops ready to respond, like they responded in Pokrovsk direction. But essentially, we should be ready that Russia tries to do some additional fake maneuvers to try to take extra territory, to put additional pressure on Ukraine visually. Remember, factually, Russia controls 0 of the key cities in Ukraine that it just didn't control from the get-go of the full-scale invasion. So I'm obviously referring to Mariupol. But besides Mariupol, not only they haven't controlled any key areas, they still are not even close. Then there is a bit of a rant from me, but very shortly, because the news are that United Kingdom and France stated that they're ready to deploy troops to Ukraine post-war stabilization. And this is the biggest bullshit headline that I have ever seen in my entire life. The only bigger bullshit probably would be that Russia is big, strong, and is about to win. But this is the very close second, because what they were actually stating is that United Kingdom and France are ready to deploy specialists to essentially help train Ukrainian military. And that is such a... it's so weak. Like, I would expect that finally we find something in ourselves breaking, that finally we understand that in current modern world, only people with courage and dedication to do something actually can do something and be counted for something. Ukrainians have shown this with an example. And here are we stating once there is peacetime, then we will not send the actual troops to Ukraine, but we will send some specialists that actually not going to be training Ukrainians, because Ukrainians know what they're doing. It's going to be Ukrainians that are going to be training these specialists, to be honest, because Ukrainians have all the experience. What are they going to train Ukrainians for? Ukrainians know everything that they know for. They are fighting the war. So it's just another underscores that while we are improving in our ability to produce weapons and support Ukraine, while we are making progress in our stance behind Ukraine, and we finally have a unified voice behind Ukraine, we are still fundamentally unable to get our shit together and finally take the not risks. Like, if there is a war, it's like just like we need to secure peace in Europe. We need to be the front runners. And unfortunately, we still do not have people that are able to do so. And if you're going to point towards Germany and says like, well, Germany has been talking loud and clear. Yeah, but after France and UK stated that they will send their specialists, Germany said like, no. We're not going to send even specialists. No way our forces are going to be there. So this just underscores that any kind of security guarantees, we are not there. Like, Europe is not there to guarantee shit. And finally, just a couple of words on the White House summit. I've shown this graph yesterday, and the key area that we need to look at here is this part right there. This is this year's contributions from different countries, Europe and United States. United States is in orange, Europeans are in the blue. And you can see that this year, United States contributed 0 help to Ukraine. Now, there is still some things that are being delivered from United States, mostly because of the Biden's approvals. And there is also additional help that is being bought by Europeans. But those are different things. Those have been already paid for. So now Trump is having a conversation with Zelensky, and I am expecting he's going to threaten him with the stopping of the aid. And I want to underscore that stopping of the aid right now is not the same as Trump stopping aid at the start of the year. Firstly, Ukrainians and Europeans have stepped up incredibly, and they have found a lot of alternative sources for a lot of the things that Ukraine has been missing. And Ukraine is receiving additional additional financing, and we compared the numbers yesterday, that Europeans are financing more than they were financing beforehand in last year together with United States. So in total, Ukraine is getting more, without even talking that there is a lot of direct investments in Ukraine that is just skyrocketing the output from it. So the amount of, for example, of artillery shells that Ukraine can make in Ukraine for the same amount of money that Europeans can make in Europe is a lot larger in Ukraine. So the efficiency is there. But more importantly is that now Ukrainians have already worked extensively to find the ability to get intelligence that was critical beforehand, and they also worked extensively to produce separate ammunition that was critical, because beforehand the most critical things from United States was the intelligence, and now Ukraine has substitutes, the ATACMS, which Ukrainians haven't been receiving and US hasn't been selling them, so this part is out. Gimler's missiles, which now actually going to be substitute produced in Germany besides that, and more importantly, the Patriot system missiles. And that is the only thing that is really relevant for Ukraine. But what we need to understand is that Patriot system missiles are important for one thing and one thing only: ballistic missiles that are targeting cities. Because as awful as it is to see devastation inside of cities, but it is not impacting the Ukrainian military performance. So with all that said, leverage that United States have on Ukraine, that they will stop any kind of support, is minimal. And more than that, we see that Trump has been losing a lot of popularity. He doesn't have the same mandate he had at the start of his coming into office. Now, there is a lot of public opinion shift in favor of Ukraine. And we've seen a lot of Trump's circles pressuring him. So even if he stops some supply of weapons and equipment for Ukraine, I believe that there will be enough push to allow Europeans to buy the weapons and equipment. So take it at my speculation, and most importantly, look at the chart and see that there was no help from United States. And if you don't help, you have no say. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. I love you. Trust in Ukrainian Armed Forces. Slava Ukraini. And I will see you tomorrow.